creations. If you're new to my channel and you're stopping by for the first time, thank you for stopping by. Welcome to my channel. Stick around a while by clicking that red button for more crafting on a budget, more everything on a budget videos to come. And if you click it again when the bell appears, YouTube should notify you every time I upload a new video, depending on the option that you choose in the drop-down menu of the bell. If you're interested in following me on social media, you can find those links, you guessed it, in the description box below. So what do I have going on for you for today? Today I am bringing to you a DIY using Dollar Tree's corkboard sheets. I have in the past done a DIY that is kind of similar to today's DIY, only I am putting a fall and harvest spin on it, and I'm using corkboard. I thought that it would be a fun kind of different texture to add to a fall and harvest DIY, but it's still gonna give it that rustic farmhouse feel, and it's using something that I haven't really used before. I can't wait to show you what I do for today's DIY using these corkboard sheets. This is a fun, quick, easy DIY, and the outcome is so stinking fall and harvest. I love it. So let's not waste any more time and let's jump into it. Alrighty, so getting started with today's fall and harvest DIY, I will be using two of these, I'm gonna call them football themed harvest wall decor plaques that the Dollar Tree is carrying right now. We've got 6 pumpkins on them. I'm gonna be utilizing all 6 of the pumpkins and just one of the footballs. I'm gonna start off by removing the ribbon that is stapled to the back of each of these. I'm gonna call them little plaques that's holding them all together. Now the reason I chose this wall decor plaque was because of the pumpkins themselves. I really wanted a smaller size pumpkin, not the giant size plaques that the Dollar Tree is carrying, and I was hoping that the Dollar Tree would carry the 5 or 6 pack of the DIY wood pumpkin ornaments that you can usually find that are about a fist size, I would say. Never saw them, so when I saw this plaque, I knew that this was gonna work. And so like I said, I'm gonna be using all 6 of these plaques. And again, I'm not gonna throw these footballs away because I like the shape of them and I think that they can be used for other DIYs. Now taking the cork adhesive sheets, you're gonna need 3 of these. In my case, I needed 4 because there was some trial and error I kind of learned as I went with this. On the back side of these, you can see that there is adhesive, which is awesome. I started off by placing the plaques face down on the back side of these cork sheets, which is sticky because it's got the adhesive. Only this wasn't the best idea because I was just gonna go with the mindset of I'm gonna place these face down because I wanna cover the front of these plaques, and I'm gonna use my X-Acto knife or a razor, and I'm just gonna cut along the edge of the plaque like I typically do when I'm using fabric or paper. Well, that didn't go as smoothly as I thought because cork is a bit hard to cut through. I'm not gonna lie. It isn't hard in the sense of you need muscle. It's the texture of it that makes it hard to cut. You can't get a clean cut using a razor or an X-Acto knife running it along the plaque. It kind of gathers, it tears, and so this ended up not being a very good method of covering these pumpkins, and later on, after I cut them, I ended up taking the cork off and redoing it. But once I take it off here, you can see that the edges are just, they're not clean. It doesn't look good. I thought that I could push the edges in and maybe mold it. That didn't work either, so I decided just to scrap it and start over again. And so the best way to do this is to just keep the adhesive paper on the back of the cork and trace the pumpkin face down. You want to make sure and trace it while it is face down, not face up, because then when you go to cover your pumpkin, you'll have to cover the back side and not the front side, if that makes any sense. And after tracing it, the best way to get those nice clean edges is just to use some scissors and cut it. And I know that here you can hardly see what I'm cutting because the pencil didn't leave a mark, but it did leave an indentation, which was fine with me. And I just followed that indentation and cut it out. And once I've got it good and cut out, I'm just gonna go ahead and peel off the paper on the back, exposing the adhesive, and place it right on top of the plaque itself. Now this is not the back side of the plaque, this is the front side, but this is the plaque that previously had the cork on it before that was uneven and not clean, so I went ahead and peeled it up, and when I peeled it off, it took the decorative paper off. I'm also going to cover one of the footballs with the cork sheet as well, and I did this using some of the scraps. So you'll need a total of 3 cork sheets. To add some detail to these pumpkins, I will be using some of Tim Holtz Distress ink in the color of Walnut Stain. Now this is a stain that you can get at just about any craft store. I typically get mine at Joann's, and I am always sure to use a 50% off coupon because why pay full price when you can pay half price? And I will be mixing it with some black ink that I'm getting from this black ink pad by Craft Smart that you can get at Michael's. To apply the detail to these pumpkins, I have found that if you use a stiffer paintbrush, and the way I get my paintbrushes to be a bit stiffer is to cut the bristles down really low to the base of where they're attached or squeezed together, and you'll find that your bristles are very stiff and it makes for an easy way to apply this stain. And so I'm gonna go and just kind of outline the outside edges after I've done the stem. I wanted the stem that solid brown, and you can get a real nice deep brown by mixing both ink pads just a bit. And so once I outline the outside of my pumpkin, I'm gonna go into the inside and just add a bit of dimension to make it look more like a pumpkin. And you can do that just by kind of adding some parentheses, if that makes any sense. That's the way I kind of simplify it, is just to kind of do a giant parenthesis in the center and kind of work your way in, you know, or I said in the center, but you start on the outside and work your way in and make your parentheses a bit smaller as you go in, and then you'll see that it looks like the lines of a pumpkin. Although you're probably not going to see the football, I'm going to go ahead and add a bit of detail to this as well, because I feel like if I don't add the detail, it's gonna stand out more. And so on the off chance that any part of this football shows, I'm gonna go ahead and add the detail anyway. I will be making this a wreath, and you can see that I set out my pumpkins and placed them where I wanted them to be before I hot glued them, because you don't want your wreath or your circle to be off. It's very easy to misshape a wreath when you're putting pumpkins like this together. And so once you get them placed where you want them to be, just go ahead and gently lift them up, place a bit of hot glue to keep them in place. You can see at the top, or what will be the top of my wreath, is where I put the football. And that is just because that's where the detail and the bow are gonna go, and I didn't have enough pumpkins. I didn't want to buy another set of plaques because I just needed one more pumpkin, and so I figured I'd just go ahead and utilize the football because it won't show. Once you've got them in place on the front side, you will want to flip this over and kind of go over those edges where all the pumpkins meet, just to reinforce it, make it a bit sturdier, and really just ensure that the pumpkins aren't going to break apart. And since I've got it on the back side and I'm waiting for all that glue to dry, I'm going to go ahead and add one of my twine hangers that I've put a knot on each end, and this is how I'm going to hang this wreath up, because I don't have a sawtooth hanger and I don't really much feel like buying one when I've got twine and I can do it like this and get the same outcome. Now for the front of this wreath, I really wanted to keep it simple because I don't want to take away from the look of these pumpkins. I love these cork pumpkins that are outlined with the ink, and so I'm going to add just a simple raffia bow using Dollar Tree's raffia. It comes in a 3-pack. I don't have colored raffia at my Dollar Tree. I know some of you say that you have it. I've never seen it at mine, so I'm going to make my own by putting some water in a bowl and using some Apple Barrel's Jack-o'-lantern orange. Now this orange is a bit bright, and oh my word, it's old. That's okay, it's gonna get the job done. I haven't used this in about a year, but that's okay. Because it's so stark, that bright orange, I want to mute it out a bit, so I'm going to take some of Apple Barrel's Burnt Umber, just add a bit to it, and it's going to mute it out and give it that nice fall harvest muted look that I like. Once that paint is well incorporated, well mixed in with the water, you're going to take your raffia and just place it in that paint water. Now, the idea is that this raffia is going to absorb that paint water, taking on the color. If you're finding that your color isn't as bright or as dark as you want it to be, you can go ahead and add more paint to it if you like. The idea behind this is that this raffia is going to absorb the water, absorb that paint color, kind of like a paper towel absorbs water. And so I'm gonna set this aside once I've kind of got it pretty well submerged in the paint, and I'm gonna really just let it set for about 15 or 20 minutes. Once it's set long enough and I'm happy with the color, I'm gonna go ahead while it's wet and I'm gonna make my bow, because raffia is a lot more manageable. It's a lot easier to work with when it's wet and it's straight. There are times I know in the past where I have worked with raffia and it just was going every which way. It was so hard to work with. I couldn't get it to shape the way I wanted it to. When one day I just figured if I wet this, it's gonna straighten it out, and I think it'll be easier to work with. And I did it, and I've been doing it ever since. It's one of those hacks that just makes working with raffia so much easier. And I love the look of raffia. I just always hated working with it because it was so unmanageable. Once I've got my bow fairly well done, I'm gonna go ahead and set this on some paper towel and I'm gonna let it dry. This bow was sitting outside for about 20 minutes. It is good and dry, and so it is ready to kind of shape a bit more and add to this wreath. I'm gonna place some hot glue on the back and I'm gonna hot glue it to the football there. And so that is why right there I did not want to go buy another set of plaques, because I knew it wasn't really going to show, and so the football worked perfect for this. It was the perfect spot for this bow. I'm going to go ahead and give this a bit of a haircut, trimming up those ends. And so now that I've got it cut, you can very easily just kind of plump up your bow just by pushing it together. Again, this is one of those DIYs that if the color doesn't suit you, I say get creative and make it your own. I'm really just trying to bring you the idea of something, and I typically do it to suit my decor style, and I know that my decor style may not be everyone's decor style, so I say take what you like, leave what you don't, and get creative and add some color to it if you want. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I love wreaths. I love hanging things on my door. I like having different wreaths, so when I get tired of the one that's up there, I can change it out and put a new one up. And I've got like 3 or 4 doors, if I'm being completely honest, that I like to keep a door hanging or a wreath of some sort on it. And so I'm a wreath girl, I can't help it, and so I thought that this would be a fun addition to it, because I was really looking for the wood pumpkins that Dollar Tree had for maybe Christmas and Valentine's Day. They had those ornament packs with the hearts and all those fun little things, but I wasn't seeing them for pumpkins this year, and I was really hoping that I would, because I wanted to do this. But when I saw these plaques, I knew that this was gonna work just as well. It was just gonna give it kind of a bigger size, which I was really happy with. And I feel like the cork was a fun alternative to burlap. It gave it a different feel, but kind of still stuck with that fall and harvest vibe that I was going for. I hope you all enjoyed today's quick, easy, and budget-friendly Dollar Tree DIY using cork sheets. Please make sure to give this video a big thumbs up, and let's get this video to, you guessed it, 5,000 likes, because like I always say, each and every one of your thumbs up and those comments that you do leave down below, they really do help my channel to grow, and it helps YouTube to notice me just a bit more. Until next time, everybody, I hope you have a fantastic day. Happy crafting on a budget. Stay happy, stay safe, stay healthy, but most of all, stay positive and